Hi guys, quick video here about the tier list. Disclaimer before starting this video, this is a tier list based on my personal opinion and experience, and I'm not a pro Shadowverse player, and honestly in Shadowverse all decks are viable and capable of winning. At the end of the day, it's a card game where both luck and skills of course are really important. One of the things that I really enjoy about Shadowverse is that every deck is playable. Even decks in C tier can be tier S under the right conditions. So please just take this as my personal opinion. This is not like a pro player or Shadowverse ranking or any of the sort. So yeah, let's go for the video. I decided to bring some samples decks there where we can at least have an idea of which decks I'm talking about, or if you decided if you want to play something similar to it, you can copy the deck and then play it. First of all, let's start with the the strongest deck on the Shadowverse Worlds Beyond right now. I think this is not like a surprise. Everyone knows about this deck. Like, this deck is stupid, it has a high potential to counter every single deck in the game, and there's Artifact Portal. So yeah, because you can fuse whatever artifact you want for any type of situation that you decide is useful. You can defend yourself with the Fortifier artifact, you can attack with the Rush and the Striker artifact, you can heal yourself with the Alpha, you can clear boards with Gamma, and you can attack the enemy leader with Beta. So yeah, this is a very flexible deck where you can counter every single deck in the meta right now. You can counter, as I said, you can counter Forest with the Fortifier, putting a lot of wards into the field, in the battlefield, or into the board. You can counter mid-range swords with Gamma, clearing the board, putting like 3 different Gamma artifacts in the board, and dealing, for example, 6 damage. Key pieces of this deck is of course Alouette, where you can basically, Alouette I would say is a very core evolution card where it allows you to copy one of your fused artifacts, and enabling, as I said, for high counter plays. So yeah, it's a very strong deck in general. You can counter pretty much every single deck in the meta right now. So yeah, it's no discussion. Now S tier, I would put Dragon, because in my opinion it's a very simple deck to play. Like, it's very straightforward. You can ramp, and you can put a lot of strong cards earlier. I mean, Dragons was always like this, but in my opinion decks like this have little room to make mistakes, because it's pretty much straightforward. So you'll be able to have a very quick match in general, and also you're able to counter, like, for example, other meta decks with like very powerful cards like Twilight Dragon, where you pretty much clear the board. You can Super Evil Garyu, which is the most common play, because Garyu is one of the strongest legendaries in the game, and you can clear the board and go face with it. You can also use Divine Thunder. Really what you want is, of course, having Dragon Sign in your hand, having Liu Feng, evolve Liu Feng to gain a max play point. So yeah, it's a very strong deck. You can rush the opponent down or go face as fast as possible with this deck, where I think is one of the strongest decks right now as well. Now continue the list in the S tier. I think as well, this is no surprise for anyone. I think Rune spell boost is really strong, and you can see that since the beginning of the game, or even before the release of the game, when we saw that play on Quan with Dimensional Climb, we knew that this deck was going to be very strong. I think the most optimal way of doing this, I think, is using Cactus, because of course you need to waste some of your Quants before turn 10. You at least have another option of dealing or finish the game with the Dimensional Climb, because if you play Kakai's on 10 and you have a Dimensional Climb with 0 in your hand, it's pretty much it. You already is going to end the game. So I think it's a very strong deck, and Enengrea is a very strong 5/5 cost card, where you pretty much clear the board most of the time in that mid-game state, and also you're able to spell boost your hand 3 times, which it's a spell boost deck. So this is a very strong deck, and as well one of the best legendaries in the game. And if you evolve it, you're able to clear the board very easily with the summoning and summoning. So he has a very strong card, and you have huge potential to drawing, to control. You don't have much kind of options to depend on the list, of course, but sometimes people run 3 Williams to deal with Sword, or any other decks that has huge board states, and you can heal yourself, because most of the time until turn 5 you don't do nothing. Most of the time you just draw in spell boost in your hand. So yeah, this deck, this card is very important. And I saw some people as well using as a Earthright, where you pretty much use as a William, where you can clear the board, but I don't think this is the way to do it. At least in my opinion, I think it's more strong using as a healing. So yeah, I think spell boost is a very strong deck right now, and you can pretty much kind of win some games against Artifact Portal. And now I think this is a surprise, and I don't think a lot of people are playing. I think it's Puppet. Portal Puppet is a really underrated deck right now, like the two decks, for one reason, because the both of decks runs Orcas. This one doesn't run it, but the reason for Puppet being so strong is that Orcas is, in my opinion, the most broken legendary in the game. You can do a lot with it. You can clear boards, you can go face, you gain very huge amount of value with this card. As I said, you can run with artifacts as well, since you don't need puppets to generate value using this card. So yeah, the game plan for it is just, you know, defend yourself, you know, putting a lot of puppets in your hand, you know, clearing the board. You can use also UD to heal yourself and draw some cards. Most of the time you're going to have all your, you know, your hand full, so most of the time you're going to heal yourself with it. You can use Sylvia to as well heal or draw if you need some cards. And as a finisher, you can use Kakaidos or Lion, which is, I think, is a very underrated card, where if you save at least one evolution point and your opponent is low on health, this is a very kind of critical card, because you can just put him and, you know, wait for, you know, pass the turn, and, you know, the opponent won't have any options because you need to clear it. Or if, you know, sometimes the opponent is just, since, you know, it's turn 8 and it's the end of the game, the opponent just want to play Quan, for example, on turn 10, and he's not able if he's kind of low in health, because if he do it, you know, Lion has 3 or 4 puppets with ward, and, you know, dealing 2 damage as the last words into the opponent. So it's a very, I think it's a very important card, and a very underrated card as well. So yeah, I think Puppet is a very strong deck right now. So yeah, don't sleep on this deck if you're able to build it. Now, mid-range Swords. I think mid-range Swords is a very strong counter for some of these decks that I'm showing to you guys, but I think it struggles a little bit against Dragon and Rune, and even Artifact. As I said, Artifact is a counter of all the other decks. So yeah, it's a really strong deck, but you have to be very patient with it. You know, you have to hold your cards, or at least be able to be patient, or the right time to play your cards. So the decks that I usually runs are mostly like this. I use Bellringer as well. I think Bellringer is a very good card for this type of mid-range decks. Amelia, as I said, Amelia, I don't think we need to say much about it. It's a very strong card as well. You draw 2 cards, you recover 3 play points. You pretty much playing her for 3 play points. So yeah, it's a very must card for mid-range. Geno as well, very strong card, can clear the board without spending any evils or super evils. Amalia, same case from Geno, but I think Geno is more powerful than Amalia, because Amalia, usually in that state or in the late game, you're not able to clear everything with just her, and not her, because with only these 2 class knights, sometimes you need to super evolve her or evolve her. So yeah, I do think this deck has a lot of potential. You have a lot of removals. We have great cards as the Samurai, where you gain Bane after you unlock super evolve. You have Zirconia, which is as well a very, usually is the most common play on turn 4 or turn 5 with the evolve. It's a very strong deck. I think a lot of people know about it, because a lot of people are playing Sword, or already play Sword, or already, you know, went against Sword. So yeah, that's, I think this is a no discussion that mid-range Sword is a very strong deck. Next we have Forest. In the beginning of the launch of this game, not a lot of people were playing Forest, but now that people discovered that it's really strong, and I think is one of the budget deck in the game right now, so I would put here above the puppet. And the reason for not being high, in my opinion, is because it's a very high skilled deck. It could be potential god tier or S tier, but in my opinion, for not being so like beginner friendly, and I think it's one of the reasons why this deck is so strong, is because of the how difficult it is. So it's kind of controversial of my part, but I think it's an A tier for being kind of very difficult to control and very easily to misplay some cards. So you have some key cards, as of course the Roach, and where you can bounce and kill. This list doesn't run a Roach. This is weird. I think this one is the right one. Yeah. This is where usually on turn 7 or 8 or 9, most good forest players are able to finish the game very easily. You're able to clear boards or to decrease the enemy defenses to 1 and deal with it very easily with Lily. Bale, which is also a great removal card. This card Glade is one of the most broken cards in the game right now as well, since it's have a great board clear on his evolve effect. Yeah, the deck is very strong. I cannot say much about it because I'm not an expert and I don't even play it yet because I don't have the cards to do it, but in general you always are able to counter like a lot of other decks that are in this star list or are in the game right now. Next one, we have Raven. Raven is a very good deck. You can win games, as I said. All decks or all classes are have a lot of potential to winning games, but I think it's just stalling. You just stall. You have Jean. Jean is a very strong card where you basically clear the board, and if you have cards and if you combo things right, you can create huge followers. But since the state of the game right now, where we have a lot of removals, having strong cards is not that difficult to clear, And this card here, oh my god, bro, I hate this card so much. And the reason for this deck being so annoying is that you can basically bring it back the cup with this card here. So yeah, you can pretty much clear boards with ease. You can banish cards, you can heal yourself in clear board, you can bring Lapis back infinite. Some less runs Storm. I don't think we have any of those here, but yeah, I think it's a very decent deck. I already lost a lot of times for it, so yeah, even though being, in my opinion, a B tier, is also difficult to have a win condition. I would say you just clear boards. If you play against an experienced player, he knows what you're going to do, and sometimes he's just going to save the cards, or you're going to bait you to use your cards. So it depends of the matchup or the players, but I think you can win a lot of games with it, And now for the C tier, I think Aggro Sword is, in the beginning, it was very strong because you could win games very easily and on early turns. Most of the Aggro Sword decks use Kagemitsu and use Quick Blader in Luminous Commander, where you can kind of buff her on turn 2 or 3. And with Squirrel as well, with Ambush, and sometimes Vals with the hands version of it. Yeah, you can still win game with it, but it's kind of more difficult depending of the decks that you're going against with. I think, yeah, it depends of a lot of stuff, to be honest, but I think you can play it and you can win games with it. Doesn't matter being a C tier. And the last one, I think, is Abyss in general. I think this class is being carried by Cerberus. I think this is just a common sense about all Shadowverse players, where Cerberus is just so good that you can win pretty much by carrying or being aggro the entire game and then just winning the game on turn 8 or 7 if you're going second. So yeah, this card is very strong. You can just kill. Yeah, you can just, rush. And sometimes, depend of the deck, but most decks are using mid-range Abyss and some decks are using aggro Abyss. And I think the most common one or the most stable one is the mid-range. We have also Medusa, which is also a very underrated card in my opinion. I think it's just a better version of Geno. And attacking 3 times is kind of nuts. You can clear every single card in the game, or 3 cards in the game, or whatever board that you have, without super evil or eviling. So yeah, it's pretty much you're holding the game until turn 8. That's where it's mid-range, where you can hold as much as possible until turn 8, and you can finish the game with 2 Cerberus or 1 Cerberus, depending of how low the health of the enemy is. So yeah, you have also Ceres, where she gains barrier, I think, when she's super evolved, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and it's a very annoying card to deal with because she's heal yourself, and she also gained barrier, and she has Bane. So yeah, it's a very annoying card to deal with. Usually you have to super evolve 1 card just to deal with her. And we have also Ortiz, which is a strong 2 play points card, where you can most of the time just remove some cards, and you can also gain Shadow. So yeah, I think it's a good deck on the hand of someone who is actually very good in the game. She can pretty much win games from artifacts, from Dragon, or whatever other deck here. So as I said, it doesn't matter if it is a C-tier deck or not. It's just you're able to win games if you know what you're doing, if you know your deck, or if you know how to counter your opponent. So yeah, it's pretty much it. I try to be, I mean, as I said early in other videos, English is not my mother language, so I kind of struggle to explain myself or to put my thoughts out loud. But I think that's it. I think this is my tier list in general, so I hope you enjoyed. And if you're not subscribed on this channel, please help me out on this hobby of mine, where I'm trying to get better in my English and skills, and trying to get better in Shadowverse in general. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And yeah, see you soon.